Hello, everyone. Good day and welcome to another session of my blog. This is to talk about contracts with regards to sports in general and football in particular. And we're focusing basically on the MPFL. MPFL, for those of us who may not understand what it actually means, it's Nigerian Professional Football League. That's MPFL. My name is Prince Wallo, and I'm your chief servant. I've been joined here today at the studio by an amazing gentleman. His name is Barrister Courage Nsirimuvu. Welcome, Barrister.
It's my pleasure to be here to talk about legal matters as touching on contracts, also in regards to sports. So it's my pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you so much for being here. Today, I've had situations also. I'm an investigative journalist, and I've had situations where footballers approach me here in Nigeria about their contracts being breached. I'm not a barrister, like I said, I'm a journalist. That's why we have a lawyer today to explain, first of all, by way of introduction, what a contract is.
Basically, a contract is an agreement between two parties, could also be tripartite, between three parties or more persons, stating terms and conditions, with rights and also responsibilities. So when we talk about contract, also the ingredients in contract are what we call offer. I make an offer, can you get me maybe 5 clothes?
Okay.
And I pay maybe 10,000 naira. So there is an offer, and then there is acceptance.
Oh, okay.
So when we have offer and acceptance, another factor to look at is intention to enter into that legal relationship. Was there an adequate intention for parties to enter into that relationship? And there's what we call consensus ad idem.
Okay.
That means meeting of the mind. Did parties really agree to these terms and condition? And again, another thing, like we were talking about football, is capacity to enter into a legal relationship. I know that somebody that is less than 15 years may not have that capacity according to FIFA rules to enter into that kind of football relationship. And even when the person gets to 15 years, the person also needs his guidance, his parents to co-sign, and it cannot be for more than 3 years. So when we talk about contract, basically, you're looking at offer, acceptance, consensus, that agreement between parties to be bound by these terms, because the terms gives you benefit and it also gives you responsibilities.
Okay, thank you so much, Barrister, for throwing in that live. So, at what point is an individual expected to react, and what is actually a breach of contract? Please explain these things to us. Let's know what is expected of me and what's expected of you when we enter into a contract.
Like I said initially, contract comes with terms and condition. It creates rights and responsibility. So when we talk about a contract, it means that the player has his own responsibilities in that contract, maybe coming for training, as at when due. Even there are clauses that has to do with the conduct of the player. So those are responsibilities. Then there are some players that have special characters, like Suarez, who've heard about no biting clause.
Yeah.
It was because of Suarez that we heard about the no biting clause,
Yeah.
which means you're not going to bite somebody.
Yes.
If you bite, you've breached the contract. So there are very crazy terms in football contracts. But the point I'm basically making is that the management or club owners or agency also have their own responsibility, so that if you keep to your terms, coming out early as at when due for training, doing what you have avowed to do, covenanted to do, contracted to do, then the other party also has a responsibility to keep his own part of the bargain. Now, if one party rescinds on his responsibility, reneges on his responsibility, refuses to do what
Was agreed
he has
upon.
contracted to do,
Okay.
then that is what is called a breach of contract. Or on the other side, if the management refuses to pay the player or slashes down his salary without his consent, that's also a breach of contract. So if you ask the question, when should the player begin to agitate for his right or engage a lawyer or begin to demand for his right, I think it should be immediately he notices the breach of that contract. Players should understand the place of having legal counsel, because I've heard about circumstances where players did not even look at the terms of their contract. Sometimes they sign in proxy, which means they sign through their agents.
Yeah.
Taribo West had that problem when he went to Italy. Was it Oze or one other club? When he was doing his thing in Italy, he did not look at the terms of the contract. So while they were paying other players like 120,000 pounds, they were paying him just 3,000 pounds. So when he found out, he started screaming, but that is what you signed up to.
Yeah.
So some players don't look at those terms and they don't know what is on ground. They don't even know FIFA regulations, because if a lawyer, for instance, decides to, on your behalf, enter into relationship with maybe management or the club side, the lawyer must know the FIFA rules and regulations so that he knows the benchmark and he knows how to negotiate on your behalf.
All right, thank you so much, Barrister Nsirimuvu. I want us to also now take a look at some. Let's calm down now.
Yeah.
Now, at what point can someone walk away from a contract? I ask this because the young man that came to me, lots and lots of them, I've had lots and lots of them, come to me to complain. Some also still call me, some who follow me on social media, don't just complaints. And I think that's why I thought at this point, I should engage the services or the presence or the advice or counsel of a lawyer, because I am just a journalist, like I earlier pointed out. Is a player, can a player walk away from the job or the contract when, because some of them at some point, okay, I'm done here. You're not paying me well. You're not treating me well. For instance, let me mention him of club sites. For instance, Kano Pillars, you're not paying me well, so I'm walking away to Eimba. So Eimba, they've promised to pay me well, to treat me well, so I'm walking away. Now, because of the fact that the contract has been breached in the sense that the salary agreed upon wasn't what I was paid or being paid, can I walk away? At what point can someone walk away?
Okay, you're mentioning the names is without prejudice, so that people understand that you're not trying to downplay a particular club side.
Yeah.
Now, walking away depends on the circumstance of the case.
Yeah.
So, like if I go back to Taribo West case, now, when he wanted to walk away, because like 5 club sides at a point in time wanted him, Arsenal involved, Glasgow and other club side. But that was 3 years into his term with the extant club side, the club side he was playing for. And he was like, oh, I really want to go if these people want me. But then they brought out the papers. His coach brought out the papers and said, see the terms of your contract. It's a 5-year contract. So this is just 3 years in. You cannot walk out except, do you understand?
Yeah.
So it is clearly stated in the contracts, terms of termination of contracts. Okay. So you must look at that clause and know when you should walk out. Sometimes it is when the time elapses. Okay. Let's say if it's 5 years, it's 5 years. Do you understand? Yeah. The contract is terminated by a flution of time. Yeah. If it's based on breach of contracts, you understand? You can say, okay, for this reason, you have breached the contract based on ABC, then I am walking away. So that is basically a decision the player must work out with his legal team. A player cannot just act so moto. He can't just act on his own. Every player needs a lawyer, because somebody was commenting that back in the days, their terms of contract is just like 5 pages. Yeah. But right now, when you carry a contract, it's like John Grisham book. It's like a Bible. Why? Because people want to add all the terms. Initially, it was just go and play, you know, but when people understood the value of players, like somebody like Ronaldo, when he was at Real Madrid, there was a certain clause in his contract that says if another club side wants, if he wants to move out of another club side before his term expires, it's like £1 billion. Do you understand? Yeah. That is to keep the player in the club side. Yeah. Do you understand? So basically, these are things about terms and condition. That's why at the inception, when the club needs you, that's when your negotiating power is strong.
Yes.
When the club needs you. Because at that initial stage, but the problem is that, you know, most Nigerians, they want to go out of Nigeria, they want to go to Europe, you know, they're just excited, they just want to, this is the opportunity, so they don't look at the papers. They don't dot the I's, they don't cross the T's. They don't get a lawyer, so they just go, where are the papers? They just sign it off. So they mortgage their life and their future. So at the end of the day, it's what's written on paper that counts. You've signed up to these documents. So if the terms are unfavorable, at the end of the day, that's what you get. So the need for a lawyer. So answering your question, the termination clause is always there in the contract agreement.
All right, thank you so much, Barrister Sirimovu. We're almost running out of the studio, but conclusively, I want every MPFL player, maybe players all around the world, to, first off, get a lawyer when you go signing a contract. I'll tell you something. A couple of years back, there's a footballer here in Nigeria. He's a great man, so I'll mention his name. His name is Victor Ezeji, one of the MPFL legends. I at some point was in action with against him sometime in Port Harcourt here at one of the FA Cup games in 2010, if I'm not mistaken. This particular man, Victor Ezeji, is now with Super Sports, actually. He goes with a lawyer whenever he wants to sign a contract, as at when he was playing. So he didn't joke with any of these particular things, because a lawyer would have to explain to you what you're signing or what you're getting yourself involved in, so that in the long run, you don't run into troubles. So going forward, if you have a challenge, you could also contact me here if you want to get in touch with Barrister Courageous Sirimovu to help you take care of a few things. But always, like he said, when you have a bargaining power is when the club wants you, you go with a lawyer, or maybe you get a copy of the contract, you go back home, and then you meet with your lawyer, you study the contract, and then you know what's enshrined in it, so you don't just sign and mortgage your career or your life. Thank you so much for joining us. My name is Prince Walu, your chief servant, and thank you so much, Barrister, for coming through. I really do appreciate your time and your presence.
It's always my pleasure.
Yeah,
Legal
so
matters.
Do well to follow me on social media if you want to hear more about what we're talking about here, African sports focus and football in particular, the MPFL. Peace out.